This meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, February 12th, 2018. This meeting is being recorded. I move to accept the minutes of last Monday's meeting as written.
Second. Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes of last week's meeting are accepted. For announcements, Thursday, the 15th, this is coming Thursday, the budget hearing, is that at 6:30?
Let me just verify.
All right. This will be at the Samuel E. Paul Community Center, and this is where this is a public hearing where the Budget Committee presents their recommended budget on which we'll be voting at town meeting.
I have it down for 6 o'clock.
6
So
o'clock?
it might be 6:30.
All right. Well, would you find that out, and we'll put something on Facebook about it? 'Cause
Okay.
I was wondering if it was either 6:30 or 7. So,
Okay.
all right. Next Monday is President's Day, a holiday. So next week's Select Board meeting will be on Tuesday, the 20th at 6:30 p.m. Barbara, do you have any other announcements?
No, I do not.
Curtis, you have anything?
The rec committee meets this Wednesday at the Samuel E. Paul Community Center at 7 o'clock. All are encouraged to join in.
Okay.
Listen in.
Great.
And that's all I got.
All right, let's go over old business. Complaint on Richmond Road. That's in.
We discussed that.
We've
That's
discussed
completed.
that. It's a legal issue and it's in process. Ridley map need to file with insurance.
Just another second to go through all this paperwork.
So it's still pending.
Yes.
Okay. Wage scale. What's happening with that?
Curtis and I talked about that last week. We had one person on vacation this week. The other one was sick. We have to vote as a committee on the scale.
Okay.
And it just needs typed up. Other than that, it's completed.
All right. Troy Redevelopment Group. Do we have anything further on that?
Nothing new at this time.
Troy Mills parking lot. Melissa, have we? Nothing? Okay. Door at the community center.
It's been completed, and I did contact my uncle and the father about sending the bill for the $150
Okay.
for the materials, and he says he'll get it.
Super.
Yeah, and then you can sign off on it. And
So we can eliminate that from the agenda for next week. Okay, warrant articles. MS 737 is ready to bring after public hearing. What does that mean?
We didn't print. We're supposed to say print.
Instead of
As long as
bring.
they don't change anything at the public hearing, we can print that for signature.
Okay. Right. Welfare, Mary Drew, February 20th. And I think you told me that's at 10 a.m. She's coming in to discuss welfare issues with you and see if we can do something to clean up our act.
Yeah, she's just going to go over all the welfare.
Okay. Building permit fees. Do we have anything to do with that?
I was going to bring it to the planning board to
Okay.
get their input, and because
Oh, you were
Wednesday
canceled.
they canceled because of the storm,
Yep.
I did not get a chance to do that. So their next meeting is not
2
this
weeks.
week. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Next week.
All right. Okay, Richard Pelto Jr., February 6, 2018 deadline. This was a tax issue. Have we heard from him?
No.
Okay, what is our next step?
Is that the file? Okay, well, we do not lien property till June, is that correct? I
think we can lean it at any time.
Yeah.
We can lien it at any time, so we deed them then. Okay, I will check with Cy.
All right.
I will check with the clerk's office first. And
Okay.
from there, I will check with Cy. Okay? And
Okay.
we'll move forward on
Wanna add to
whatever is
this?
suggested. Is that okay?
Say again, please?
We will move forward with whatever is suggested between
Yeah.
the clerk's office and Cy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay, will do.
NRRA membership. This was something that we looked at a couple of weeks ago. They want us to renew our membership. The material they sent us doesn't really tell me very much, but Alissa tells me that we have used them in the past and that they negotiate for the best rates for our recycled materials. So I just want to run this by Jimmy. Apparently he's not in yet.
Yeah, he's out there.
Would you ask him to come in?
Wow, look at that flyer.
Oh, so you've got the sign on the door that says closed. That
It's
might
not closed,
discourage.
it's just I couldn't hear.
Huh?
I couldn't hear you guys.
I know, but the sign says closed. You may want to turn that around, otherwise people will think we're in non-public session. Jim, we've got a few things for you tonight. But one of them has to do with the Northeast Resource Recovery Association.
Yeah.
You're familiar with them?
Mm-hmm.
They do a good job for us?
Excellent job. Yep.
Okay, then I move that we pay this bill and renew our membership.
Yep. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's done.
That was quick.
We have somebody coming in, I
You know,
guess.
Out there now.
I'm sorry?
You mean Dills?
Yes,
Yeah.
they are out there
I
now?
was just talking with them out there.
Okay, so you might as well just hang around then.
Mhm.
Okay,
I figured that.
all right. Another one on High Street. This gave them
30 days.
30 days, so we are within the 30 days.
March 5th
Yeah,
deadline.
well, they signed for this on February 7th, so that would be March 9th would be the deadline. So we'll just hang on to that. Letter from the Department of Veterans Affairs. This is an email asking us to, they've got a sample letter here for veterans and they want us to put it into the town report. It's the Veterans, it says the Veterans Health Administration. I've never heard of such a thing. It's part of the VA.
Yeah, it's,
I think whoever wrote it just doesn't know what their office is called. It's from the Department of Veterans Affairs, Veterans Affairs Medical Center in White River Junction. And I'm not sure that's something that's appropriate to put in the town report.
well,
Me
that's what
neither.
We discussed
We
last
discussed
week,
it.
actually. We weren't sure if it's actually even legal to do that.
Yeah,
Because it has nothing to do with just our town.
yeah.
What is in the town report is nothing but concerns.
Right.
Troy.
It's not a public forum.
No,
Okay.
exactly
Then
not.
I move that we take no action on this.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nothing against the VA or anything.
No, and it's a great organization. We're not saying that.
Okay, new business. We have a letter from Norman Doe. This is another one for you, Jim. This is our contract for 2018, and they want to raise it. Our last year it cost us $9,280.62. This year they want $14,925. Do you know of any reason?
Yeah, the state has a couple other tests that they have to have them run at certain periods of time,
Okay.
and those are included in there.
All right. So this is
That's
it's
why-
not just a price increase.
We fluctuate back and forth,
Yeah.
and we're going on an up year this year.
Okay.
That's why I can never complete that part of my budget until I get Normandy's
Right.
quote.
Okay, so this is more or less a mandatory thing.
Mandatory by the state,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Have we ever looked out at other services?
Yes.
And
Yes.
what have you found?
When we went out once before, it was when Dufresne and Henry was doing the same type of thing, but they weren't going back down one year to the next.
Yeah.
They were continuously going up,
Okay.
and we found Normandy came in way under, and
Right.
that's when we went with Normandy. Another year or two, we may have to do that again, because sometimes I think they get comfortable with their increases and not the decreases.
All right.
We do have to stick by what the state says we have to test. We don't have any choice in that.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to be something for next year's select board to discuss with your successor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
I move that we pay this bill of $14,925 for Norman Doe Associates.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright.
A letter from the New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration concerning KRT. Actually, we've got a letter from DRA and then we've got an email from KRT. DRA wants us to change our contract with KRT to specify that, it just says in one sentence, change a DRA certified property assessor assistant or higher to a DRA certified property assessor supervisor. So DRA wants only supervisors to do the work. Okay, KRT says, I received a letter back from DRA about our contract. I assume you got the same one. I advise you to not accept the recommendation. They want a supervisor to to complete a final review, but that is spelled out in 3.3.7, whatever that is.
In the contract you guys
Okay. No way can we have a supervisor doing our field review. I've signed the attached signature page. I'll send a copy to DRA and send out an email for a startup meeting. So I agree with KRT on this. What do you think, Barb?
I don't, is DRA not making it mandatory?
They're making a recommendation.
Okay. Because they think the other person is not qualified?
They don't
They're
say
not
that.
saying.
They're just saying they want a supervisor to do the review. I'm not sure why they want to do it that way. I think KRT knows more about this than DRA does.
Okay, so in other words, it's
It's not a
up to
requirement.
us.
Yeah.
It's up to us.
And I think we should
And I
side with
don't,
KRT on this.
because I don't know that we, revenue-wise, I mean, it would absolutely cost more to
Yeah.
have a supervisor do it rather than
I'm sure
an
it would.
employee.
Yeah.
So, for now, if it's not
What do
mandatory,
you think,
I
Curtis?
say we stick with KRT and their decision.
Yes, I agree.
Right. All right. You got all that, Alyssa?
Yes.
All righty. Okay, Gay Kimball Library Board of Trustees Agreement. This is an annual thing where it's a one page that just spells out the duties of the Board of Trustees of the library versus the Select Board, who's responsible for what. Trustees have signed it, and they want us to sign it. While you're reviewing that, Barb, we have one other thing here concerning bicycles. Oh, okay. Let's see, what is the name of this organization? It's the Federal Lands Transportation Institute, Safety and Operations, Western Transportation Institute at Montana State University. And they want us to do a survey of things here in town. They want to interview somebody that would take about 45 minutes to answer a whole bunch of questions about things that just simply don't apply to a small town like Troy. Would either of you like to handle this?
Okay.
All right, will you contact them then and just let them know?
Yep.
All right, thank you. That's all I have under new business. Curtis, do you have any other old or new business?
The verbal agreement for the reevaluation, they said that they needed just a verbal agreement from the selectmen to lock it in at the $60,000 price. Have we done that yet? In the next 5 years?
You wanna lock in the price?
Yes.
We can do that.
So-
I can just send them an email and they'll be locked.
Do we have to make a motion to?
Yeah, let's
Verbal
do it.
agreement?
I move that we lock in the price of $60,000 for the next reevaluation, which will be in 5 years.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we'll send them an email and get that locked in, so,
Yeah.
because we had to up the line item to
saw that, yeah.
$7,200. I just
Okay.
want to make sure that that got done.
All right.
So,
Anything else?
that is all I have.
Barbara,
Okay,
any?
yeah, 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Is this different than it's administered at the moment, or? And then give.
Slightly. The 4, it says the town will administer the tax dollars appropriated, and that's the building maintenance, payroll, and all that
Right.
stuff. These other 2 line items are new this year. That's why that's in here.
Okay, so the administration of the funds is no different than it has been?
No. In the
Okay,
past, there was a $2,000 appropriation that was included in here. That has been taken out, and this has been put in.
replaced,
Yeah.
okay. And 5?
And 5 just says that so much on this date, so much on that date.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to be clear.
Except for the wording of those line items, it's the same thing that we've been doing every year.
Okay.
Although I think that last year we probably did not do it. Yes, Jim?
Did you see the letter from the state of Vermont on the
Great.
returnable bottles?
No,
It should have been a letter. I don't know.
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
I thought you took that with you.
I brought it back and sent it to you. It's, the town of Fitzwilliam got one, the town of Troy got one. We, send out returnable, 5-center plastic bottles
Right.
and cans by way of and
Middleman.
middleman. And they are telling us that we can't do it no more, that we will be fined $1,000 if we get caught doing it. So we are stopping it for now. And that is one of our good revenues for down transfer station.
Okay.
This way you can cut theirs off, they're not doing it neither.
What do
Until
we do
find
with
out
them?
for sure if we can do it.
Well, you do the same thing that the Vermont people do after they take in these bottles. They send them to some place that melts them down and recycles them.
Yep.
We've found it in the past, it's been easier, instead of doing that, instead of dealing with a recycling company, just take them across the river and turn them in for the deposit.
Okay, so now we have to find someone else?
There's no way we can do anything with it. We're gonna have to just take and crush them like we do the rest of the plastic and recycle it that way. We can't get the 5 cents a piece anymore.
Ew. So how much is that going to affect the
It's
budget
gonna
for?
affect it quite a bit. I haven't got the figures in front of me, but
Can you take them to Massachusetts?
can't do that neither.
Yeah. I'm surprised they let us get away with that as
We've
long as they
been
did.
getting away with it for quite a few years.
Yeah, I know.
So nobody else, were we the only 2 towns doing it?
No, I believe the city of Keene does it too, but I don't know if they're stopping there or not.
And I can understand that. I mean, they're paying us 5 cents a bottle, I think it is,
Yep.
for a plastic bottle, to return a deposit that they never collected,
Right,
because we don't.
got it.
If New Hampshire charged a 5 cent deposit on these things, we wouldn't even be getting them, because people would be taking them back to the supermarkets.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So I just want to let you know that that is going to affect the revenue
All right.
For next year.
for Rod for next year.
Right.
Okay. All right. Barb, you have anything? Old or new business?
Yes, I do. Curtis and I discussed this last week.
Is this going to be lengthy? Because it's after.
Let's do the people,
Yeah,
if that's what
okay.
you want to do.
Yeah, because we're about 3 minutes past Judy's appointment time. Would you ask Judy
Okay.
to come in? What were you pointing for?
Just for him.
Oh.
That was it. Judy, you can come in.
That's why I came.
Oh, okay.
I did it correct.
Hey, Mark.
That's all right.
I mean, I was sitting at
And
home all
once you
day.
calm down.
I don't ever calm down when it comes to my property. That's the puppy gate.
Use your desk.
So we've got an issue with our neighbors.
Yep.
You guys allowed a cut into their property off from Fern Hill
For the society.
for the society for a log landing.
Okay. That's the first I heard. I don't know about
Okay. Okay, well, their property is now draining onto ours.
Okay.
And it's compounded by the fact that Jimmy's got a little maintenance problem that he's gonna take care of. We got
I'm not sure that's the case yet, Mike. We'll look at it.
I think I'm sure it's a plug culvert.
Well, we've looked in both ends. We can, it's got a bend enough in it you can't see completely through
Right.
it. But
Yeah, I think there's gotta be a restriction, because otherwise that wouldn't fill up. Because it's not running out the other end. The other end's clear.
both ends are clear.
Right.
Something,
Yeah.
something must have gone down and got wedged in there or something. We can't see it.
And the coincidental thing is, it didn't happen until they put the.
Mhm.
So I don't know what they dug and how deep they went with their stone. Because they took out the stone wall, put in at least 2 feet of stone from what they said, dropped the grades down, so that now their whole hillside is draining down into this cut into this stone, and then down along the side of our property into what's an area drain. It was put in by Jimmy as an area drain at the corner of our driveway, and it's flooding our backyard.
This is separate from the culvert issue.
This
This
is
is
separate from the culvert.
Okay.
We're not
You
worried
can
about
cooperate.
Jimmy.
They both
Jimmy
happened
will
at the
fix
same
it.
time.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
All right.
That's a coincidental.
Okay. All
He's
right.
on strike 3, but he'll fix it.
Yeah. So, and I've met with them, and their answer is, well, maybe we'll see when we're all done logging what we're going to do about it.
All right.
That's not good enough. They can't drain their property onto someone else's.
Right.
Period.
Okay. So this is just strictly a logging operation. There's no buildings or anything.
Correct.
No, this is the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire's Forests. Worst neighbors in the world. Just so you know, they're the worst neighbors in the world.
All right.
Do they pay timber tax on what they're cutting?
I hope so.
Everybody.
Who gave them permission to put
Well,
the
they don't
cut
pay.
in?
They don't pay property taxes. That's why I asked.
They have to fill out a timber cut just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Somebody gave them permission to cut that bank and put that driveway in,
Yeah, we don't memorize this stuff though.
Okay.
so.
All right. So that's our issue. It's now flooding our backyard, and we can't have that.
All right, but there was a timber tax form submitted for them?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Here
up
it is?
there.
I'm sorry?
Yes,
Yes.
it's up there.
It is,
Yes.
okay, all right. What is it that they're doing that is causing the flooding?
Took out the stone wall, lowered the grades
Okay, so
from the height of, from where the
where
stone
are
wall
they in
was.
relation to your property?
Right behind,
Right,
Above
right,
us, above.
above.
right
Make
above
sure you
us.
put it
Yes,
above.
right above us.
Above, okay, on the same side of the road,
Yes.
next, your
Yeah,
next door,
yeah,
next door neighbor,
our
okay,
back boundary
yeah,
is their back boundary.
okay.
Stone wall, and then it continues, their property
All right.
continues up
Where was
Fern
the
Hill,
stone wall?
on Fern Hill.
No, I mean in relation to your property,
At the corner of our property and their property.
okay,
Okay, our property's triangular shaped,
yeah,
okay? They're probably 15 feet, 20 feet from the corner pin,
Yeah.
where they opened up the stone wall.
How can they
They
open
went
up? I
on that
thought I
corner.
didn't think you were allowed to touch a stone wall.
I don't think so either.
yeah,
They can always take a stone wall out for a timber cut.
Oh, okay. Something.
Their purpose for where they went, because they had a log landing prior to this, what, 15 years ago? 20 years ago, up, further up, but they couldn't get tractor trailers in there. So they went to that corner where they could back the tractor trailers straight in. That's,
Tractor trailer in there yet?
that's what they claimed, they were gonna have tractor trailers in there.
Well, they've had the logging truck.
Yeah, I don't
The
think
tractor trailers is what
and this
he
is a
said.
non-profit organization that's doing this?
Yeah,
Society for the,
protection.
They
of
just
Hampshire
had something
forests.
big up there Saturday too.
and,
Yeah.
Oh, don't even
Oh,
go
yeah.
there.
but it's a logging operation. How are they preserving the forests?
Well, they're
claiming they're,
claiming they're improving the standing
Yeah,
timber, you know, and improving the forest for the
Right.
future by select cutting.
okay,
This is not a slash and cut
Oh, okay, all right,
operation.
all right.
They've got one logger up there, one skidder,
All
and they basically pull out one.
all right. So what is causing the water to come onto your land? Is it because of the stone wall?
It's because of the cut in the stone wall, and they lowered the grades.
The grade up here
Yeah.
and the grade of where Mark and Judy are is down
Yeah.
here. So
Right.
when they took the wall out, the wall used to hold the water up there.
That's what I'm getting at, yeah.
Right.
And
The wall
went back, I guess.
Okay, so
Yes,
it
and then
direct.
Now they've got
And
it
it-
all coming
yeah.
toward the road.
Right, and it used to follow the stone wall down behind our property and stayed on
Right.
their side of the stone wall. I mean, you get a certain amount of leaching through the stone wall no matter what
Right.
you do.
All right.
But because of the hundreds of years since stone wall's been there, it's all growth around it.
Right,
Was all growth around it. Now they took the stone wall out, they lowered the grade at the cut, so they're now below the level of where the stone wall was. They then cut, they cut low enough to put 2 feet of stone in. By stone, I'm talking about 3 inch
These
Figure
big
out
things.
6 inch
rip,
wrap.
yeah,
okay, yeah,
riprap, which is great for drainage.
yeah,
So then any water that flows down that hill, hits that drainage, comes out onto our property,
Yeah.
down the road and onto our property. And
Okay.
that's the issue.
all right. And I don't know what the answer is. It sounds like a legal thing. Is this something?
Well, they seem to be taking
Well-
and putting all the blame on the town.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
'cause
and we met with them, basically gave a relatively simple solution. That they said, oh, well, we'll revisit it when we're done logging at the end of February. That's their answer, which is no answer.
All right,
We've had other issues with them in the past,
okay,
where you said, you've got a tree here that's a hazard to our property, you need to take it down. We get a letter from them that says, don't worry about it, if it falls and hits real property, we're insured. Falls, hits real property, now our insurance isn't gonna cover it. So our homeowners ended up. Yes.
Okay,
We still have the letter, but that's in the side.
they're the New Hampshire
New
Preservation.
Hampshire Society for the Protection, or the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests.
Something
New
like that.
Hampshire.
They're all
Soc-
over, they own probably 5% of the acreage in this town.
really?
Yeah, Tyler donated a lot of land too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was way before Tyler. This was Bromley Johnson's
Right.
family.
But the V
Yeah.
across the road from you, or
Yeah, that was
that's
that's-
donated by Tyler to them.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
and they are a nonprofit.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I think what we're gonna need to do is have the town attorney take a look at this. 'Cause I just don't know what the answer is.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, I know they can't drain, no one can drain their property onto somebody else's.
Right,
Yeah,
but the water that's draining onto your land is rainfall, right?
Off their property.
Well, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
If
But-
if you're downhill, I said, that's why I say I don't know
Okay, but
exactly.
there's a change in drainage pattern.
They
Yeah.
changed the grade.
Yeah,
Right,
so that
okay,
it now
right.
drains on it.
Right, so it's not simple, and I wish I knew the answer to this. Well, that's why I wanna have the attorney look into this and see
Who
what,
What's the
is
address?
the town attorney?
78. Cabot
Silo
Road.
in
Okay.
Peterborough.
Yep, I know Si.
It's where the corner.
So
of
Barbara, would
Farmville.
you contact Si on this?
Well, I
And,
have that other issue to,
and get
I have to
on-
talk to
on
him
the
any,
left-hand
I have to
side.
talk to
Okay.
him anyway, I'll
Okay,
just
so just
check it
add
out.
this to the list,
Yep,
all right.
So
When are you gonna be
actually have
talking to
go up
Si?
Fern Hill
tomorrow.
Okay,
and
all right.
see their
So
cut.
Barbara will be talking to Si
You
tomorrow
missed it.
on some other issues. She'll add this to her list to
Okay.
discuss with Si to see what we can do, if anything.
Okay, because I mean, if you go up, it's pretty easy to see
Yeah,
where they built, the way they built the
Yeah.
landing up, and
After Mac talked to them the first time, they did come back and put some bales of hay up, but I guess they're really not doing too much.
no, because that was a silt barrier. I was concerned about some silt running out there, and now we're
Yep,
good.
they didn't even do that to begin with.
Right.
No, they
That was
didn't
the
do
logger
anything.
came and put 2 bales in, and
So do they
Oh.
follow any of the same rule?
No, go ahead.
Do they follow the same rules for driveway permits? I mean, they put in a driveway. Did they come and see you, or did they go to the state to put this driveway in? Because
They just
they
ask if they can bust a hole through the wall wherever.
who they asked though.
They asked me, they didn't ask anybody, they just said that's where they were doing it. And that's what they put on their permit, right?
I'd have to look at it, I don't remember.
what permit, the timber cutting permit?
Yeah, timber cut.
Okay. See, with a timber cutting permit, we don't look at anything other than, is the form filled out correctly? Because that's strictly a revenue form.
okay.
The permit for the driveway is separate.
Yeah.
Should have been separate if that shouldn't have been
We don't
included
have
in
any,
this.
we don't have
But
any
do they
driveway
have to get,
permits.
right, do they have to get a driveway permit?
Never
I mean,
have.
that it's their land, they're not using it long-term as a driveway, it's
But now
only
I'm gonna stop
temporary.
you right there, because they've said they're not taking that landing out. So
The-
they are
the-
gonna
the
use it
cut-
long-term.
Well, they didn't take the other land out.
Okay,
That's
so
the way.
once the cut is there, it's there forever.
Right.
They do not come,
Because
when
they may
they're
have another,
finished.
they may have a quote another timber sale.
Okay, so
In the
when
near future.
the job is so-called finished,
Right.
they
They're
do not
leaving
come,
it.
they
Correct.
do not come back in and restore the land
Correct.
as it should have.
That's correct. Yeah, they did tell me they weren't going to rebuild the stone wall.
Okay,
I mean, which was,
Or
Was
bring
that
it-
even
they were
legal
gonna-
to
they were leaving that
Do a
in.
driveway cut without?
As far as I know, it is not.
I mean,
This never has been before,
Never has been what before?
any type of driveway permit or anything for a
Right,
timber cut.
okay, so bring that up with Si. That may be
I'll
something
ask
to pursue.
planning board as well. Timber cut
All right.
driveway.
All right, so Barb, if you're gonna talk to Si tomorrow, would you give Mark and Judy a call tomorrow and let
Sure.
them know what you find out? Rather than waiting?
yeah, and I don't know that I'll know anything, he has to
Yeah,
be
he
in
may
the
say, I'll have
office.
to look into it,
Yeah.
Right,
but we'll keep you informed of what.
And I know Si, so take
Right.
this with a grain of salt. Tell them time is kind of the essence, because they're planning to be out of here at the end of February. And-
oh, well, we'll hear something before then, okay.
Well, I know Si.
Well, yeah,
No, no, we will hear-
They told me they want to be out before you post the road. So if you posted it tomorrow, that would be great.
All right, now Jim, on this culvert, is this culvert that is blocked, is that a driveway culvert?
No, that's a culvert that I put in years ago,
Yeah,
when we
When we
went
did
from
the
dirt
road.
to tar, I
Yeah,
replaced it.
just
It was
before.
there.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
there before, but I replaced it with a new one before we paved the road. And never had any problem with it till
No,
this
it's been
year.
great.
is that something
Oh,
that you
that's- oh,
can
you
take
should-
care of easily?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I'm gonna have to run the fire hose up through it, I guess, and see
Okay.
if I can find something large in it, because I can't
All right.
see nothing, can't, from either end.
Yeah, yeah.
How-
you
how
gotta
long-
sleep in it.
how long is this culvert?
I think
long.
60 or 80 feet.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
It goes diagonally, on the corner all the way down diagonally.
I'll give you Mark's cell.
Across the street?
It doesn't go directly across, it goes down.
358.
One
Kind of
side.
parallel
Okay,
with it
9200.
Yeah, okay.
as
Thank
it's
you.
crossing.
All right.
That's why it's so long.
All right.
Yeah, Buzzy.
Because it's in the bend in the road.
Now, fire hose will fix that, you think?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in it.
All right. Well, if you try the fire
I
hose.
don't believe it's failed because there's no evidence in the road of
Right.
any
All right.
collapse.
If the fire hose doesn't work, then we'll revisit this and
Yeah.
see what we have to do.
If I can't find anything with a fire hose, we'll have to get a camera to
Yeah.
go up it.
Okay. Do you have that equipment?
I don't have that. No, I have
But you know people who
hire
do.
somebody to
Yeah, okay.
come in and do it.
All right.
Yeah,
Because
I
it sounds like
can't-
it's got to get fixed.
With the naked eye and a flashlight at either end, you can't see nothing.
Right.
Nothing plugging
Yeah,
it. It's all wide
there's
open.
a sweep in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it has. We have not had an
Never
issue.
had any problems till
Since-
this year.
You know, and even, you know, because Buzzy put the original in.
Yep.
Drained it on the society's land. Karma would have been.
Yep, that would have
Leave
been.
it there.
We should've left it
Okay. All right. Well, that's all we can do for
there.
tonight.
Okay,
Okay,
all right,
thank you.
all right.
You're on culvert detail. But you,
Are you good with me?
but you
I am.
noticed
Thank
I
you,
didn't
Jim.
call you on your cell Sunday night.
I did.
Thanks, Jim.
Well said. Thank you,
If
Jim.
you want,
Thanks.
Right. Good night.
if you want, Jim, I'll meet you up there at some point. If you want.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
You ready for
Okay.
Brad?
Big pardon?
Are you ready for Brad?
Yep.
Tomorrow's gonna be a decent day, so I'll probably try and get the truck out. Go try it, see where it's going.
Boy, we had a good meeting last week.
What's that, Barb?
Busy.
Yeah.
Busy tonight.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
What can we do for you?
Yeah, for the building,
Can't hear you, Brad.
the building permit.
Right.
Do you have all your paperwork and everything? Everything that we asked for? I know the planning board canceled last week just because of the snow.
Yeah,
So we didn't get a chance to bring anything up to them because we were gonna.
yeah,
have them
I
come
talked
up
to Bobby Looper and he said it should have went to the planning board.
We've been bringing everything to the planning board for recommendations and everything.
Yeah, but last time you and I were there, he said if we were both clear on it, it wasn't going back to the planning board, and I agreed and you agreed. He said no more meetings.
And you haven't brought me back any paperwork or
But
anything.
I've been
like
trying
that.
to get a hold of you.
Yes, you have, and once again, I can't make a decision because it's a 3-board panel.
Okay, I'm just saying that's, you know, just telling you how it is, but. And this is in the scale. You said it wasn't in scale, but it is in scale. I brought it back and they scaled it, and he said you gotta have the right scale if you wanna use it, the scale. At least the heat's working in here now, huh? It's pretty cold here. One time I was in here,
Well, we had,
Old building, that's why.
it was so cold one night
everything
that we
froze
just
up.
tabled everything. We had a meeting that lasted under 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was just.
We had no water.
So where's the paperwork that said you went to the conservation committee about the river?
Oh, good.
Um,
Yeah.
this is what I got from, I went to the city of Keene, the building department, the building inspector's over there, and I talked to him, and they recommended this guy right here. So I had him go out there, and this is what he gave me for a letter. And that's what they said, I should be all set on that. I think his signature, we made a copy. I have the original too, out in the car.
His conclusion from these experiences is that floodwaters have no effect on in-ground septic systems. So he's saying it's not in a floodway, but it's in a zone of flood zone A, which it is in flood zone.
I just went with his recommendations from the city of Keene, and that's the guy I referred, and that's what he wrote, and he went out and he said, So he had all the maps out, he said it was all good to go. Are these town? Yeah, they don't.
Yep,
have any-
we've already, we're told about these here, and they're all online. And when we went through these last time, there was some, all the things that we told you, we actually made copies of this stuff here that said we wanted. And of course, I didn't know you were coming in tonight, so I didn't bring your folder. Because you're in the special flood zone A areas, the applicant shall furnish the following information to the selectmen. The as-built elevation in relation to the NGVD of the lowest floor, including basement, and include whether or not such structures contain a basement. If the structure has been flood-proofed, the as-built elevation in relation to the NGVD in which the structure was flood-proofed, and any certification of flood-proofing. The selectmen shall maintain the public inspection and shall furnish such information upon request. And you, says right here, the selectmen shall not grant a building permit until the applicant certifies that all necessary permits have been received from those governmental agencies from which approval is required by federal state law, including section 404 of the Federal Water Pollution Control Act amendments. So,
Then
I need the
wait,
one from the conservation though.
That letter, I'm not in a floodplain, that letter should explain that.
But according to our maps and everything else, you're in flood zone A, that piece of property, and regardless of what that one says,
That is what that says.
okay, so that's saying that he has to show all this.
The guy's a licensed guy, I mean, that's what he does, I mean, this is,
Well, it does say it
He's in
is
flood
in a
zone A.
zone, yes,
Flood
zone
zone
A
A.
floodplain. Yes,
And that's
it
a
says
special
that.
flood zone, and once again, we need all the certified stuff. And it said, selectmen shall maintain public inspection and shall furnish all this information. So we need all the information to back up all this.
that, I'm not in a floodplain though,
But
even though
you
that map says
are.
it. He came down and he shot all the elevations, and he said, that's why he gave me that letter, and said I should be good to go.
No, he says you should be good to go without those are the planning regulations, Curtis? What do you have in front of you? Planning?
This is the floodplain development ordinance adopted March 8, 1994, amended March 18.
Okay, so he has no way of knowing that we have these. Right.
Oh,
So,
he looked everything up online. We got everything.
What's that?
it does say that you're in a floodplain. I mean, he says it right here.
Right.
I'll read the sentence. It is in a Zone A floodplain. It says it
So-
right on here.
As far as I'm concerned, your application is still incomplete, and I do not feel comfortable signing on it right now, so I don't know how you feel.
I agree with you.
Well, I'm not versed in this. I hate to make a decision because I really have no idea. I mean, it says right there, he's in a floodplain.
Right.
So, I don't know that we can contradict that.
And it says the selectmen shall have to have all the certification for the flood proofing, and it says that you are in a flood zone according to all our maps and all our information, even from the planning board, and it's up to the landowner to, provide all this information.
Yeah,
So
but
until you do that, your application is still incomplete. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, can I have that back?
Yep. You have to make sure that all your applications are, go through the flood zoning. We also told that you have to go to the conservation committee and make sure that, because you put a driveway in and it's within 25 feet of a...
You're making up stories now. None of that was talked about.
Right, I'm not going to argue with you.
No.
Go through our ordinances, bring us back the paperwork, we'll review it, and then from there, we'll move forward.
We had that meeting and you're throwing extra things in there
I am
now.
not, told you, we
Yes.
gave you, when the last time you were here, we printed out everything that you need to do. Everything is in our ordinances.
Yes.
You have waited until now to bring us 2 more pieces of
You
paper.
wanted to go to the selectmen, into the planning board, which had nothing to do with it. And then
Does-
you,
The
and then-
selectmen use the planning board because we are not well reversed in all the laws and ordinances of the town ordinances and property use and land use. And until we get a building inspector or a land use administrator, we're using the planning board for
Strictly as an
recommendation.
advisory board.
Right, it all, everything,
I
not
don't-
just you, but everything goes
I
on in there.
understand that perfectly. But when we had that meeting and, you know, Bobby Lupa was there at the head of the meeting, you said what you wanted and I gave you everything you wanted.
No, your
Yes.
packet's still incomplete because I haven't got everything I wanted.
You-
Your conservation committee, you're supposed to go. The flood zoning certifications, the building materials, making sure everything is certified and for being flood proofed. You brought in a letter stating that you are in a flood zone.
None of that was
It's in
brought
our
up.
ordinance, Brad. I gave you
Yeah.
copies of it. I'm not arguing with you tonight.
I
apologize, but I'm not arguing tonight.
no, I don't want to argue, but you just keep throwing all this in there.
I am reiterating everything that we're asking for, and once again, I do not feel
So I need a
comfortable.
copy of that. I need a copy of that.
Everything is online in our town ordinances book. Go into the flood proofing. We already gave you copies here at this office. We can go back in the minutes and I can tell you the day on it, but it's gonna take a little while finding it.
Oh, okay, I can.
But you've had all the copies and everything that we requested. The selectmen are requesting all the information, so we feel comfortable signing on it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I do not feel comfortable signing off on it with the information that you provided to us.
Okay.
If you feel the same way, Alan?
No, I'm agreeing with you on this.
I
Barbara?
said that just a couple of minutes ago.
Okay,
No,
so
I'm not.
as of right now, we do not feel comfortable signing off on your paperwork. Bring us back a completed packet. We'll review it, make sure it's in accordance
Completed packet from who?
that meets all our town ordinances.
From who?
From you.
From you to
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
That you want flood proofing of a foundation and
For the septic, the foundation, the building material, everything that's in our ordinance.
Alissa,
Give them to me and I'll copy them.
do you recall the letter
It's
that
several
we sent
ordinances.
to Brad
It's the land use
last
regulation.
year
It's
that listed all the things that he
goes
needed?
into the floodplain development
Probably in the
ordinance.
file.
This is
Can't
all the
hear you.
stuff.
It's probably in the file.
I'm wondering, do you have it on there?
Are these?
Easier to look over there.
Just give me these. Can I just take these out here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's gonna be the other land use.
Which
So you
property
got
was this for?
floodplain development ordinance.
That one in there?
I'll bet that's more.
It is.
Hey, don't lean
No,
on
it's because
that.
the button is in my
Don't
pocket.
lean on it. You leaned on
I
your
just lean
button.
forward a little bit. That wakes the dog up.
Because it's gonna fall underneath the.
Course, the dog's not in the car, he's at home, but you can hear it.
excavations, Water Resource Protection District ordinance, zoning ordinance, site plan review regulations, zoning ordinance.
Okay,
it's
so
all
he
these.
has to adhere to all of
All
those too.
these, everything, and everybody, it's
Oh,
not just
I'm
him.
not copying them all. He
Well, that's
can look
what-
them up online.
Well, that's what I was saying, it's, everything was been provided and told him where he can get it. So,
Okay.
will that come up online?
yes,
Because
everything,
before, nothing would come up online. It wasn't online. Is everything up and going now?
everything
Alissa,
comes-
this is not what I was looking for.
Keep going. Keep going.
I think there was a letter that actually had a list, a numbered list of items. Do you remember that?
and I don't have the packet here with me. Because I had a big folder of this property and. We brought it to the planning board and they recommended this here, several things, and they also mentioned, Carol Ogilvy also mentioned that just because the state gives out driveway permits does not negate that they still have to come to the town and get a driveway permit as well.
Correct.
Which I need a
I
driveway
still
permit.
have to go to the town?
Yes, you do.
It already was an existing one, and I talked to Jim Dicey about it too.
Did Jim Dicey fill out your paperwork for you?
He said it was a state driveway.
I need documentation because according to Carol Ogilvy, she's our,
But when I was there, it was existing. She said that,
it wasn't existing though, you put that in.
no, I didn't. No.
Because there's no driveway permit for that property. There's
Goes
nothing.
back, it was grandfathered from way years ago. There's probably no record on it.
All right, bring in the paperwork and prove it to us.
You have to prove it to me.
No,
There's
it's your
exist-
property.
It's an
It's your
existing.
property, Brad. You have to prove it
It's
to
an
us.
existing
It's this-
driveway. It was an existing driveway. It's The whole driveway goes right through there.
And
Talks
we-
about it in the deed and everything.
We looked it up and we did not find it in there, so you need to provide that information to the selectmen.
No, I don't think so. No.
We have a case like that right now.
No.
So,
It says right in our ordinances too, that you're the one that needs to provide the information to us.
right.
Yeah, but it's
We do
an
not have to
existing
provide-
driveway. It's always
So
been an
bring in
existing
the paperwork
driveway.
that says it's an existing driveway.
Who's saying it wasn't an existing driveway?
I'm saying it wasn't an existing driveway. Mr. Whitney is saying it wasn't an existing
Why?
driveway. Because we don't have any documentation saying it was an existing driveway. We just found out, the last meeting that we were talking, that you showed up to with Bobby Lupa, after you left, they said that Carol Ogilvy said that you still have to provide a building or a driveway permit, even though it's the state road.
Yeah.
Because it's state
After I
road.
left the meeting, this was all brought up?
Yeah, for that one, no, just that one spot of it. Just that one thing for the
Well,
driveway.
how come that wasn't even brought to my attention ever?
Because we haven't talked since then.
Well, the meeting was adjourned and Bobby said, don't come back here. And he said to you, and he said to me, we both understood it. He said, this has nothing to do with the planning board. And he says, as far as I'm concerned, it's done. Don't
Okay.
come back here again.
Okay,
And he
and
said,
have
are
you-
you happy? And he said, you just deal with Curtis on this. And you
Okay.
said, okay, I'll take care of this. And that's how we left it. And
Okay,
I
and
tried to hook
we
up
have
with
not
you.
been back to the planning board. This is
But
the
there is
first
no
time
going
since
back
you've
to the
been in-
planning board.
It
This is
can't
the
be
first
one
time-
person's problem.
Right.
There is a board everywhere.
Yeah.
It has to be a board's issue, not a person's issue. Not one person can make a decision.
Right. So this
Okay,
is
but
a
that-
board.
But, yeah, it's a board. I thought it would be settled here. It has
And
anything to do with the planning board.
But you haven't brought any information back to us that's complete.
I've been trying to get a hold of you, but.
But once again, I did call you back, and I told you I don't have time for that.
You
sit
said you
down-
were gonna meet me on a Sunday. And
And it doesn't matter if I was gonna meet you on
And
Sunday
you
because
didn't.
it's a board though. And I told you, I said I might be able to.
I can say what and you can say what you, but I know the truth, and you know the truth.
Okay,
And that's the
I do
bottom
know the
line.
truth.
Yeah.
Once again, I cannot make your decision right or wrong
No, I
with that Sunday
understand.
meeting that we've
I-
never even had.
It just tells me the caliber of person you are, okay?
That is
I just
fine.
know the truth, you know the truth.
That is fine.
And-
I still can't make a decision on anything
That's
without
fine.
the other two.
I'm not gonna argue
involved.
with you over it, I'm not gonna argue with you. I know where this is going, I know where we're at on this thing.
Okay, so
And
bring us back
I'm
some
just-
information.
Am I
and
getting
we'll-
copies of
we'll-
this? Is that what I'm waiting for? or-
No, no copies,
Everything is
because there's
online.
too much that I would have to copy. It's
all
all
the-
online.
They're all online, so you
Okay.
can look them up there.
So you want me to,
Submit a complete application.
With all the documentation showing
Of-
that everything with the flood plan, the land use, the excavation, by certified engineers, whoever, not yourself, signing off on a piece of paper saying that, yes, this land is this. We want somebody who's licensed and everything like that, saying that what the property is what it actually is, and bring it in, and we'll review it, and we'll move forward from there.
well, I thought that's what I had on my
That is,
plan.
it says, you brought in a piece of paper saying that, yes, you are in a flood zone. You do not bring any certified documentation like
If-
our ordinance
If
says.
you look at your building permit process to fill out an application, have you looked at that lately?
Yes,
Okay, there's nothing on it. And then all of a sudden this all came up.
the selectmen are requesting it. We've been doing this ever since that we saw on your tax card that says unbuildable lot.
Do you have any other examples for me that I could look at? Anybody in town that's had to go through this?
No,
There is no other examples.
because we don't have anybody else for an example. Not that
Well,
I'm
I
aware of,
don't know that there's not another example, but since I've been sitting on the board,
Since I've been,
no one has applied to build a home where there's a floodplain. So I have no reference for that. That's my honest opinion.
I thought Dr. Cook had to go through all that in the dollar store. I thought you said they.
Well, I wasn't here when that started.
I'm not sure what they went through, but in both of those cases, they did go through the planning board because of the nature of the building.
because of site plan review.
Yeah. But we actually had nothing to do with either of those.
You all set? All right, so all that should be online.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a process. It spells out in detail everything you gotta do. You come in here and you package and you say, here it is, here's everything that the regulation calls for. We'll go through, check it against the regulation. If it meets the regulations, then we
Are
either
these state regulations or town regulations?
Town
Town
zoning ordinance.
ordinances.
Town ordinances.
zoning ordinance, right?
Okay, and they were adopted In
They're
19,
all
It says that.
labeled.
All at different times, I'm sure. They're updated on a regular basis, but
Okay, Barbara, do you have anything else for us tonight?
I have a headache.
I'm sorry?
Okay, yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, one thing that Curtis and I spoke about last week was we need to put some money into the selectmen's budget and a minor amount for the new position we created for or the building inspector if we need to hire one, simply because
Contractor.
oh, correct. Simply because, an example, we charge $125 for the building permit, and he bills us maybe $125. Okay, we have that, but it was not correct. He has to go back and redo.
Well,
So we need to have some type of seed money till that account is built up adequately in the budget to be able to write a check against it.
For the building permit fee.
well,
Right.
is this going to be like a revolving fund or something?
No, we'll put a line item in the
Okay.
budget. Maybe next year we can
Okay.
eliminate it.
Here's what I'm getting at. This is sort of like the police revenue offset. If we get in, let's say we get $1,000 in building permit fees, but it only costs us $700 for the inspector, we still have to appropriate that $700, which we have not done.
Okay, vice versa. You're going one way, I'm going the other. What happens if we do not have sufficient funds to pay the building inspector?
Then we can't pay them.
Right, but
So what we need to do is to add that into the selectmen's budget.
Yeah,
Because
that's what I'm-
it
that's
has
what
nothing to
I'm
do with well, how much you take in versus how much goes out. Because the money that's coming in goes in the general fund, but you can't spend it because it's not appropriated.
well, no, it'll be a revolving account.
Well, that's what I just asked.
No, not this money, not the seed money.
Oh, okay, all right.
Hold on. See, we're hoping with the building permit fees, when I'm going through,
Yeah.
and I'm just checking, we're gonna be checking with the planning board, that basically any type of fees that we do get from the building inspector from having them go out, it's gonna be self-funded by the permit fees.
Eventually.
Right. But you know how the police department will go out and they'll do with these private jobs, construction, traffic control, where there's
Yes.
paving and all that, and the contractor pays the town for that.
Yes.
But we still have to appropriate money. That's the section called police revenue offset. Because the money that you get coming in, you can't spend because it's not appropriated.
Okay, right.
So what we need to do is to appropriate some money, just like the police revenue offset. We need to have a building inspector revenue offset. We have to estimate how much it will cost us for 2018, let's say. $1,000, let's say. That's probably more than enough to start out with. So you put the $1,000 into a line item in the selectman's office.
Okay.
And then money that comes in just goes in the general fund. You pay the building inspector out of that line item. And at the end of the year, if you didn't bring in enough revenue, you change your fees. If you brought in more than enough, you reduce your fees.
Right, okay. So,
We do need to add that
We-
into the budget for this year, for now.
So at the hearing, we'll bring that up. And the budget committee meets immediately following the hearing. They can add it in. And I would recommend just $1,000.
Okay. But it has to be put in the selectmen's budget also.
Well, that's what I said.
Oh, okay.
You said also.
Well, you were talking it has to go into the budget committee, we have to do it also. Budget committee can't put money in the selectmen's
Yeah, they
budget. Oh, all right.
We've done it.
Okay.
are you guys gonna be there for the budget hearing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Alright.
It's like the Super Bowl. I thought it's that.
Alright, I have it written down, I just gotta make sure it gets done. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be reading it like I was the last 2 years. So if I forget, can you guys just make sure we bring this item up,
All right?
please?
Sure.
And then,
Okay, another thing we need to do, we put money for the new position in planning and in zoning. You split it between those two, but we put nothing in code enforcement. So if by some chance we do hire someone to fill this position, they will not be able to do code enforcement because we do not have a budget to pay them out of for
Right.
that particular responsibility. So I don't, I mean, I've done it this year, and if we put $500 in, that would be 45 hours. That may be enough for next year. I know I've put more than that in it this past year. That's at $11 an hour. So what are your thoughts?
I don't have any. My mind is a blank.
Okay, so do you want to take some money out of zoning? Well, zoning, we didn't put that much in. We put more in planning. Take $500 from planning and transfer it over to code enforcement?
That's fine.
Okay.
As long as it's not adding the total.
No, no,
amount,
no, we're not going to add
The
to.
budget committee shouldn't object.
Okay, yeah, no, we're not going
Or
to.
just put $1 in code enforcement.
Well, no, because then we will not, if they do code enforcement,
Yeah.
we do not have any funds to pay them to do that.
Yeah, you have that 500 in the zoning and the 500 in the other one.
Well, no, we have a total of 9. How much did we put in when she came in?
It's like 9,000.
9,000?
That's all.
Yeah, and we split it between planning and zoning.
Right,
So most of it went to planning.
right.
And what I'm saying is just remove $500 from planning and transfer it over to a line item for code enforcement.
Fine.
Okay. Good.
And you'll bring that up at budget committee then?
Well, why can't we just do it ahead of time? We can't?
Well, at this point, I think, we've submitted our budget to the budget committee. We've met with them and amended it, and there are no more budget committee meetings between now and the hearing.
Okay, but the total is not going to change.
Right, but what I'm suggesting is, I wouldn't change anything until the budget hearing.
Right.
Okay.
We'll bring it up then.
Okay, add that to your list. 500 for code enforcement to be removed from planning.
All right. Now, just to cover this, I move that whatever changes to the budget we successfully negotiate with the budget committee on Thursday also be reflected in the selectmen's recommended budget.
Okay. Perfect.
So that way we don't have to have another meeting in order to change it.
Perfect.
Okay,
That's
anything
all
else,
I
Bob?
had. That's all I had.
And Curtis, you got anything else?
Somebody second that?
Second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, aye. Okay, yeah, we didn't vote. Okay, so Curtis, you got anything else?
I do not have anything else
Okay.
at this time.
Norm, you got anything for us? Alyssa?
Well, I
anything?
wanted to, I mentioned you now, but I'm in the flood zone, so what makes Brad Hunter think he's not in the flood zone?
The paperwork he brought in
Says he is.
says that he is in the flood zone, so he has to meet all the criteria for it. And
Maybe finance, FEMA said, that when you're in the flood zone, that you have to have flood insurance and, my house is paid off, so
Or a letter of map amendment, one or the other.
yeah.
You got anything else? Okay. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 7:29 p.m.